And happy Sustainable Development Goals Week. Hope you're all having a good week. I think I noticed some names already, so this mightn't be your first Eco Week session that you're attending, so you're very welcome back. And for anyone new joining, you're very welcome on board. I want to kick off with a bit of a poll. Now, I'm not sure if everyone has their laptop close to them, but it's just one question. So does anyone know how many Sustainable Development Goals there are? If you'd like to click the option that you think is right. Just a little refresh, perhaps. Great. I see some things coming in the chat. 1717. Yes, all correct. Well done. Great. Okay, so you have all have a good foundation of knowledge there. So you might already know, but just to give you a bit of an intro of who we are, ECO-UNESCO, we're a youth environmental organization. So we focus on another 17, well done, Holy Child on us. We focus on environmental education, and we were founded all the way back in 1986. And our goal is to support and help young people to help protect the environment. And a little bit about the Sustainable Development Goals. Everyone is right. There are 17 of them, all pictured there in the lovely colours. And those were founded or created by the United Nations. And they're big goals basically to make the world a better place. So they're all about helping people and protecting nature and making sure the future is fair for everyone on the planet. And so all around the world, countries have agreed to these and agreed to work together to help reach them. And Sustainable Development Goals are often shortened down into SDGs. So if you hear anyone talking about SDGs, these are what they're referring to. And across the week, we're focusing on different SDGs. And in this session, we're focusing on SDG 5, and that is all about gender equality. So what is it? SDG 5 is about making everyone, regardless of their gender, giving them the same chances and making sure everyone is treated equally. And gender is about whether someone feels like they're a boy, a girl, neither, or both. So it's making sure everyone is treated equally. Why does it matter? Well, it's nice to be treated equally. We need to give everyone equal opportunities. So everyone should have the same chance in terms of learning, working, and playing. We want to make sure everyone is treated fairly, so with respect, no matter what their gender is. And when we do that, I think everyone's in there. Yeah, when we do that and when everyone is supported, everyone does better. So families and communities do better. So those are the reasons why it matters. And we have a special guest bringing us through all of this today. Fatima, give us away, Fatima. So Fatima is going to, hello, Fatima is going to go through a session on gender and climate justice. So we're going to figure out and find out about how climate change affects people differently, why women and girls often face bigger challenges as our planet heats up, and how we can work together to create a more equal world to help us fight climate change. Okay, so I'll hand over to you, Fatima, if you'd like to share your screen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I'm so honored to be speaking to you all. So I will share my screen now so you can see my presentation. Just give me a second.
And I should just mention as well, poor Fatima has had some internet issues, so there might be a little bit of background noise where Fatima is. So we hope you can all hear her clearly regardless.
Yeah, I hope so. If not, do let me know though for sure. But thank you so much, Sarah. Okay, so here we go. So a little bit about myself. So as I said, my name is Fatima and I am the Climate Youth Delegate of Ireland. And basically what that means is that it is my job to represent you and other young people in Ireland at the United Nations. Originally, I am from Sudan, but I moved to Ireland about 6 or 7 years. I work with loads of different organizations. I work with the National Youth Council of Ireland. I work with Young Voices of Africa, the Shoulder Project, Spread Out, and just like a few different ones. And I just kind of try to stay involved in different areas, like climate, gender, poverty, or education. So those are just a few bits and pieces that I do in like my personal work. And as Sarah said, in this session, we will specifically talk about gender equality and climate action on the Sustainable Development Goals. And I will open a video with you guys now. I know that Sarah already has given you like a really, really brief an overview of what it is. And but I think the video will kind of also explain that a little bit more. So just give me 2 seconds to show you.
It's like as soon as I have like oh, we're going to start.
You know that the UN Sustainable
Can you hear me
Development
okay?
Goals are a universal call to action that unites 193 countries around the world. If these
I
global
can
goals
hear it okay. I
by
just can't see
2030,
it,
life on
Fatima,
Earth
at
will
the
be better
moment.
for everyone. So, what are
You can't see it? Okay. Let me just do this again. See now? Can you see it now?
Yes, I think so. And maybe if you're playing, if you mute yourself, maybe we'll hear it a little bit clearer. I'm not sure.
Did you know that the UN Sustainable Development Goals are a universal call to action that unites 193 countries around the world? If these global goals are fulfilled by 2030, life on Earth will be better for everyone. So, what are these goals? Eliminate poverty in all its forms. No hunger. Everyone should have safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. Everyone has equal access to healthcare, thus ensuring our well-being and a healthy life. Equal access to a quality education. Ensure gender equality where women and girls have the same opportunities as men and boys. By achieving these goals, each member of our society will be equal, safe, and happy. UN global goals also include access to safe drinking water and sanitation, access to clean energy that is safe for people and the environment, sustainable and stable economic growth. Everyone has a decent job, strong infrastructure, and the support of innovations. Lower inequality within and among countries. Cities and settlements be developed without damaging the environment and people. Achieving these goals will result in the well-being of people and our planet. We can further take care of our environment with the following goals: sustainable and safe production and consumption of products. Take urgent measures to reduce climate change and its impact. Ensure the sustainable use and protection of ocean and sea resources. Restore and protect Earth's ecosystems. By achieving these goals, we will form a society where strong institutions ensure peace and justice. It is important for everyone to be involved and to build partnerships for achieving sustainable development goals. You are part of this process. Demand the implementation of these goals. Take the lead and share information with your friends.
Thanks, Fatima. I know, Holy Child, they can't hear you very well or see the video, but what we might do is send the video round afterwards. And I know there's not much we can do regarding the background noise, but maybe if you try slow down a little bit and even speak into the mic or something,
Okay.
that might work a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm so sorry about the background noise, but I will absolutely try to also be loud so everyone can hear me so I can also focus on the noise. But as the video was saying, so basically the Sustainable Development Goals is like a big plan that was created to make sure that we live in happy, but also to protect our world. And again, today we'll focus on gender equality and climate action as well. So, simply, what is climate change? So, all of you guys may have noticed that now in Ireland it's becoming a bit warmer in the summer and everything, and basically that just means that the earth is like warming up, and that can also make weather conditions a bit more extreme. So that could be in the sense of like more flooding, more storms, which we're already seeing, or it can be droughts as well, which is happening in loads of parts in the world. And then what is gender inequality? So what the United Nations says about gender inequality is that it's like boys and girls are men are just not always treated the same. And that can be for a lot of different reasons. It can be because of traditions or even money. And just the fact that some people get more resources than other people, like example, land. So now, I hope everyone can see this map here. And basically what I kind of want to explain a little bit is like some historical background that connects all of the different topics together. So you can see Ireland is here, so it's kind of like orange. And basically what was happening a long time ago, so let's say about 200 years back, something big happened and we call this the Industrial Revolution. And basically what that means is that when countries in Europe and countries in America as well started building loads of factories. So they made like trains, they made cars, then later on they made planes. And all of these machines, they made life so much easier for us. But then in the production of them, also using them, they were giving off so many gases that we call these emissions. And what happens is that these gases go into the sky and they trap the heat of the earth. So basically, then that's why Earth is getting warmer with the acts of greenhouse for us. So what this kind of like image here shows you, so like you see here in Europe, in America, it's darker colored because that tells you how much carbon dioxide is being emitted from fossil fuels and energy. And you can see that then in like Africa and in South America, it's like lighter because that means that they're emitting less. So mostly it's countries that are in Europe and America that produce a lot of waste. But the problem is that the countries in Africa and in South America end up getting a lot of the consequences. So basically to explain that, so let's say what we have is that you have the richest, let's say 10 countries out of 100 countries. And then, these are kind of the countries that are creating the most waste, but then everyone around them suffers as well. So if you were to imagine in a classroom, right? So if you were having, let's say, 10 people in a classroom, and like one person is making a mess of the classroom, but then because only one person did it, then everyone else has to clean it up. Do you think that's fair? I know that this happens a lot in classes as well. I remember for me when I was in school, and I personally thought it wasn't fair. But basically, this is kind of what's happening in a world that you have a few countries that are making so much, like waste, so much emissions, but then it's these countries, Africa and South, we say, that are usually hit the hardest. So just to kind of give you guys like a quick number, so by 2050, so not too long from now, it is expected that 158 million women and girls will go into poverty. You might be wondering why that is the case and why it's such a big number. So that's kind of what the session today will be about, to show you the connection between gender and what's the big number because of the person to poverty specifically this so let's see.
Fatima, just to jump in there, I think there's quite a few voices now that are a little bit louder. I'm wondering if even turning off your camera would help in terms of connection, and maybe you could still go closer to the mic or something. There's a few voices that are carrying over yours.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on 2 seconds there. I actually might even change spaces.
Okay.
She didn't want you
It's getting a little bit loud, to be honest.
We've already done the layout.
Okay, how is this now? Is this better or not yet?
Maybe continue speaking a little bit, Fatima, and then we might get a better, idea. I think so. I think that's a little bit quieter already.
Okay, I hope so. I hope so. Again, I'm
Great.
so sorry about this. Okay, perfect. So this is a real life example, guys. And basically, this is talking specifically about floods. So say you have one girl, her name is Noor, and she's 11. And she lives in a place, let's say Pakistan in this situation, and floods can be extremely dangerous. And you can think that floods are dangerous for everyone, and that is absolutely true as well. But where gender also plays a big role in here as well is that in some places in the world, let's say girls, women, they don't really teach them how to swim. So because they don't know how to swim, that then if the place is like getting flooded, that they would most likely be the ones that are like injured and that will suffer in a flood. Whereas then, let's say boys would be like better equipped to deal with it. So that's a good example, and that could be cultural here in these cases, but that is just not taught to girls. And also another part as well is that sometimes traditional clothes, they can kind of look like dresses. These also make it extremely hard to escape when you're in the water because you won't be able to swim if you know how to swim. So that's an example clearly where you can kind of see like gender playing a role into like climate change and the effects of climate change as well. Let's go to a second example. So then you have another example, and this is very common in loads of countries. So basically here is that this time is the education. So we have a girl, her name is Mariama, she's 12 years old, and let's say in her community or where she lives, they are suffering from a drought. And because in a lot of cultures as well, women and girls tend to be the one that like let's say do the cooking or go collect water, that maybe the river that's beside them has like dried up, so then they have to walk further distances to go get water and food for their family. And because they have to walk further than normal, that let's say they would end up missing school, and they also face a lot of dangers on the road because they're going to such a far place. And because you're missing school, you might not have like an education certificate, which means that in the future it's really hard for you to get a job. So these are the connections because because the girls do more household work, more care work, that they can't really go to schools anymore. And these are people that are probably like maybe a little bit older than you are, but it's a very real reality that happens to like a lot of people that they just can't go to school anymore because they have to do that stuff. And it's very unfortunate, but then again, here are like kind of situations where yes, it affects everyone, but it affects women and girls a little bit differently as well in that situation. So I just kind of want to like ask you guys to have like this discussion in your classrooms, and maybe your teachers can like write the answer in the chat between these two examples that I gave you, of the girl in Pakistan and the other story with the drought. Do you guys see like any similarities between the stories or any differences? If you could just have that discussion for about 2 minutes or so and then pop it into the chat if that is possible. And I hope you can hear me though. But I'll just give it 2 minutes now, and then we'll move on with that.
He didn't really like my argument very much, and it wasn't like specs of the screen not very good, not good at priority. And then it was time to just stand priority days where you I don't have a choice, but I've already got this on in my so like I said, from that it was a case of insurance hire. It was that's basically
Okay, perfect. I hope you guys are still having discussions, and feel free to just pop it into the chat as I'm going, and I know that this is kind of like a different reality than the reality that we normally have in Ireland. But the reason I was kind of showing you the map earlier is to kind of connect the stories together by showing how, countries in Europe and in North America as well, how they play a big role in, let's say, climate change, but these are stories from the global south that ends up facing a lot of the consequences of our actions. So that was kind of the goal with this. So feel free to keep typing in the chat and having discussions. That's absolutely okay. And then I just wanted to kind of go over something, right? Because not everything is just kind of like doom and gloom. Like there are good people doing good work out there, and this is an example of that. This is something called the Green Belt movement. And it was kind of like it's like a movement that happened in Kenya where women realized that that they're really, really struggling in their communities, from like droughts, less food, they're walking so many hours, so many hours, over 6 hours, to kind of just kind of get like, water, and their plants and stuff. And in this example, they decided to kind of take action into their own hands, like, kind of different from what usually exists. So then there's this lady, her name is Wangari Maathai, and she was the one that kind of founded like this project basically. And what she did is that she encouraged like women, and she was kind of teaching them and training them as well how to like plant trees in their communities, to help like restore the soil, but also to make their lives a lot easier. And by doing so, by including, women and girls in the project, she was able to kind of hear directly from, their struggles, because she was also in that group, and to give them like a stronger voice in their community. And, you kind of have to think about the difference between this and other normal situations, because, as I said earlier, in a lot of places, like, women are just expected to be the ones that take care of the house, that cooks the food, and that sometimes they don't really have like a strong voice in their communities. So this project that was happening in Kenya was to tackle that issue, to actually give it a place and the space to have like these conversations, to actually do something with it as well. And there was a huge movement that happened in Kenya, and clearly like, it worked. Like you can see here in these pictures, where they're training like the young girls that have to plant stuff in their communities, so they don't have to go to other places, and they can still go to school, and this still helps like their community, because it brings in food as well. And this is such a small action that anyone can take, but they did it so well. And when I think up until now they've trained over 30,000 people. And Wangari Maathai, the woman that founded this movement, was also the first African woman to receive a Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. So like it's a huge project that happened. But the point of this is kind of to see like what good things actually happen when you have women and girls that take different projects in their communities as well, because there's so much that they can do, like the knowledge that they produce because it's their own experiences. I mean, it's kind of like, how do you fix a problem that you don't have like direct experience with it? These are the people that experience it so differently, and nothing is done about it, but they took matters into their own hands. So that was the point of it. And it's just kind of to see, when you look at climate change from like a gender perspective as well, that you can actually offer solutions to the problem that we have. But a lot, it doesn't always happen. Like in a lot of places, it doesn't happen. This example shows you that when it does happen, you actually have so much good going on with it. So
Fatima, just to jump in there, we've had a response from Aisling and Ben about the two stories and the connection between them. And Ben said because the women didn't have as many rights as the men, they couldn't do as well in the disasters. So thank you for that, Ben. That's a great answer. And I think we're still having some issues hearing you, Fatima. Sometimes I can't hear you well at all. I don't know if there's any possibility of like moving closer to the mic. But if not, maybe we'll try to wrap it up sooner rather than later. We can do a few questions and answers, and maybe we can record something, I don't know, later today or tomorrow or something, and we can send that out to the groups. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. That's okay. So then I'll just kind of like skip a few slides and stuff because I know
Cool,
that
thank you.
it's extremely, extremely noisy. But thank you so much for the responses coming through because that is what it's like, is because they don't have the same tools as men do. So let me just kind of wrap it up here and about things that we can do here in Ireland, because also what we do impacts people without us realizing that it can impact people positively or negatively as well. But I think we need to kind of focus about doing more good work as well. So you can do it in 3 different stages. You kind of have like a light bulb moment, and I'm hoping that after taking part in this session and other sessions throughout the week as well, that this kind of like sparks like an interest or kind of like a new idea that you didn't necessarily think about before. So now, because you have like this like brief like introduction to it, that just things that you can do in your own capacity that still do make a difference, is you can start telling your friends about it, start talking to your families about it, ask questions, don't be afraid to ask questions about this topic. And watching like YouTube videos as well, like these are all very, very good actions that anyone can take in their own capacity as well. And then to go kind of like to the individual level, also kind of community level, to be honest with you, I'm sure that a lot of schools as well have like a green schools committee or like a group. And if not, you can be a part like of a group that creates that change. And a lot of these like green schools projects as well, like they talk about saving energy, reducing waste, and that helps families everywhere. Like it helps your local community and your local school. But think about it in a global scale. That's then less emissions that is going out, and that ends up affecting the global south too. So you know what I mean? Like everything that you do here will make a difference. And then if you want to go even a step further into your journey, I started this work when I was around you guys' age, or maybe a little bit older, when I was 13. But then you can start talking or like writing a letter to like your TD or your council, just to remind them climate action should be fair, giving access to both girls and boys all over the world and everyone else as well. So these are all things that we can do in our own capacities, but really like don't feel that they're not making a difference, because they really, really do make a difference, even if you don't realize it or hear it directly. But by seeing kind of like the effect that it has globally, I think that helps it to put it into perspective a little bit as well. So this is a quote by Greta Thunberg, who I'm sure many of you guys have probably heard about, because she said that being young is a great advantage, since we see the world from a new perspective and we are not afraid to make radical changes. So this is you guys right now. You're young, you have great ideas, I'm sure, and you do see the world from like a different place, and everything that you say is extremely, extremely valuable for politicians, for your school, for your community, for your family and friends. So don't be afraid to ask questions, challenge different ideas, and just learn more about it as well. So honestly, I think now I'm like more than happy to like receive any questions, or like Sarah, if you would like to jump in as well. I really do hope that this kind of is sparking like just a little bit into like how the two topics connect, and I'm more than happy as well to speak about this further and other times too. But I am happy to receive questions if there are any.
Great. Thank you, Fatima. That was really great to hear from you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or else type them into the chat. Apologies again about the sound issues. I hope you could hear some bits of it, and we can share kind of the slides, or we'll see what we'll do, Fatima, in terms of sharing something afterwards, in case you didn't catch everything. Fatima, one question we got there via email, a group couldn't join. They were interested in your role as a climate youth delegate. Would you care to explain it a little bit? I know you touched on it previously, but maybe you can explain to us again what that includes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my job, you guys, is to work directly with the government and young people in Ireland. And basically what that kind of looks like is, talking to like you guys, talking to like organizations, going to different events to kind of see like what actually young people want when it comes to like climate change and the things that they want in their communities. So once I hear that perspective, then I go and I work directly with our government, and when the government is making like new rules, or like new policies, that then I tell them, listen, this is what the young people want. Let's see how we can integrate these views into the ideas that you have, or if there are ideas that we want to include as young people as well. So this is what I do on a national level. But when it comes to like even international level, so outside of Ireland as well, then my job is to represent Ireland in different countries as well, to tell other countries that this is what the youth of Ireland was. So, for example, there's a big conference, and it's like the biggest conference that happens in the world, and it's called COP, right? And it stands for Conference of the Parties. And this conference is like where all of the countries, or almost all of the countries from the world, is kind of come together to make like different, like, let's say, rules that every country should follow. So I go to that conference with an idea, and what I have in mind and what young people told me that they want, and I go and I advocate. So basically kind of tell other governments this is what we want. So this is basically my role as well. I do like different consultations, different talks throughout the year as well, where I invite young people to come directly and we kind of have that conversation. So I see them face to face. So then I go to the government and do the work that I told you I do.
Great. Yeah, that's really interesting. So you're basically like a representative for all the young people in Ireland when it comes to climate. Yeah, that's really cool. And we have a question here from Ashing and Ben. Who have you found to be the best at implementing, this SDG 5? Maybe a individual or an organization. I guess that's up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So in my opinion, I do think that it actually tends to be like youth organizations. So, people organizations that work directly with young people. So a great organization that comes to mind is the Shona Project. And the Shona Project is an organization based in Ireland that works with women and girls as well as schools and outside of schools to kind of do like empowerment about it. And they also push for like change when it comes to gender equality in different capacities to and employment. So that's a great organization. Then you have ECO-UNESCO. I mean, let's say they organize this talk to let people know about the connection between those and another great organization. There's so many, the National Women's Council as well. They have like a youth group in there. So those, are again young people that are working directly with the council, help implement these. So these are like amazing, like like groups and organizations that work directly on the topic of gender as well. In my own organization as well, Young Voices of Africa, I am the president of the Women's Forum, and I work with African women in Africa, but also in the diaspora. And the diaspora just means people of African like descent that live outside of Africa. So let's say, for example, like myself, I am from Africa, but I live in Ireland. So other people that have kind of like a similar background to me. So there's a lot of organizations that work on this topic, and these are honestly the ones that came to mind. I do absolutely recommend the Shona Project, and I think Sarah put the link into the chat there as well.
I did. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about them, they can take a look there. We might slowly wrap it up. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, but I'll just share my screen again just for some final comments. I'm gonna have to do a bit of scrolling here. Okay, so Fatima, you mentioned some ways young people can take action. So here are some ways you could, maybe if you're feeling inspired, you could get involved with us. You could take part in the Young Environmentalist Awards if you have an idea, like an action project that you'd like to do. For any teachers or mentors out there, we do some workshops. So if you're interested, do reach out to us. And we also have some youth groups, some after school activities too, if you'd like to get involved. I'm also going to send the evaluation form in the chat. If anyone wants to share their comments, we'd be happy to receive them. The QR is on there as well, and I might just wait a second if anyone wants to scan that. And then it's just the rest of the Eco Week over there. So I know some of you might have registered for the other sessions, but we have Thursday and Friday coming up still. So on Thursday, we're going to be focusing on food and the hidden heroes of our freshwater. And on Friday, we're going to look at waste and how it can be useful, and also nature, how we can use it to be happy, basically. So I think that's it. If no one has any other questions, we'll sign off. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. And again, apologies about the noise. But yeah, internet issues. That's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? Hopefully you could catch some of that. And yeah, Fatima, you just put in your details there if anyone has any other questions or wants to reach out to you. Great. Thank you, everyone. We'll sign off.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much,
everyone.
Fatima. It was great to have you.
Thank you, Sarah. Take care.